America's mayor live at the beach in Palm Beach. So today was a very interesting day. Today was a day in which the rest of the negotiations with Saudi Arabia continued to the point of the details being worked out. And here's what it looks like. Here's where it's going, if it isn't there already by this evening. And that is that they will buy, as yet undisclosed but large number of F-35s from us. That sale has been done with the full and complete comfort, or let's say it's comfortable with Israel. Don't be surprised by that. For a very, very long time, Israel and Saudi Arabia have been backdoor or behind the curtain business associates, one might say. And when I say for a long time, I mean going back even before Bibi. I mean going back to the 90s. And Saudi Arabia, at least the royal family and the ruling forces in Saudi Arabia are extraordinarily interested in business and commerce. And so we are this far away from an Abraham Accord between Saudi Arabia and Israel. The agreement to sell the F-35s will go a long way in accomplishing that. Of course, a very large investment that Saudi Arabia will make in the United States will tie them even more with our economy and move them out of where they had been drifting. They really had been drifting toward Iran. The animosity and the rift between Iran and Saudi Arabia predates even the Muslim Saudi Iranian issues. It goes back to the Persians and the Arabs. It goes back to the Muslims and the Zoroastrians. It goes back to the forces of Muhammad forcibly taking Iran and virtually eliminating the Zoroastrians, the religion that had been the religion of Iran, and forcing them to be Muslims. So that's not going to end. The question is, does Saudi Arabia feel that it has to become a nuclear power? There have been times in the last 4 or 5 years where that's been the case. Since they haven't gone ahead and done it, full speed ahead, there has to be some reluctance on the part of the kingdom to do that. Not the least of which is they're businessmen, not warriors. And that's an enormous amount of money. It's an awful big diversion from their ability to acquire more and more wealth. And they felt no necessity for it when Israel became nuclear, did they? None. As far as we know, Israel has been nuclear for 20, 25 years. When did they first start becoming worried about being nuclear? When the fellow Muslim, but Shiite Muslim, not Sunni Muslim, Persian Muslim, not Arab Muslim, country, which is now a reign of terror and a dictatorship, theocratic dictatorship under the Ayatollah. That's when they became worried. No fear that Israel would use it against them. Would the young morons who protest against Israel, would a clown like Fuentes absorb that and understand that the position that they are espousing is completely corrupt? They've got it flipped just the way communists want them to have it flipped, just the way Orwell predicted they would if you are as self-indulgent and as ignorant as they are. Because you got to be ignorant to not think your way through it. You can't possibly have a logical, sensible, disciplined mind and flip it. I want you to once again consider this. For 20 to 25 years, their neighbor Israel, Saudi Arabia's neighbor Israel, has had nuclear weapons. And Saudi Arabia gave no thought of becoming a nuclear power. Their northern neighbor across the Sea of Iran starts to develop and enrich nuclear materials that could become nuclear weapons. And immediately they begin putting money aside and start looking around to become a nuclear power. What does that tell you? What does it tell you? It tells you that they are much more afraid of the what they understand as the militaristic, barbaric part of the Muslim religion than they are of Judaism, because they know that Judaism doesn't teach conquest. And they do realize that Muhammad, who they adore in a certain way, and with a certain filter on parts of what is in the Quran, but they know what's in the rest of the Quran. And the Ayatollah, the Ayatollah reads the complete Quran, and the Saudi Arabians read half of it, as do a lot of Muslims. And they are smart enough to know the difference. On the other hand, they're afraid enough of the street and of the large number of extremist Muslims within the religion to not go too far, because they're afraid they'll be overthrown. So take the blinders off. Take the liberal left-wing peace symbol bullshit off your eyes, huh? And take a look at what the Muslim religion, what it is and the complexities of it. And you'll understand what we have to face and the things that have to be done and the ways in which you just can't use general things like, well, freedom of religion. We'll be talking about that with regard to Texas a little later. Well, there was a study released, I guess it was released yesterday. It was done for Health and Human Services, and based on Executive Order 14187. And well, Executive Order 14187 is part of what's come out of it. And that restricts the maiming and sterilization of patients under 18. And in order to study, to take a look at the standards of care, that study has partially now been released. And it basically says that the evidence to back the practice of hormone therapy is flimsy, and to back actual mutilation is non-existent. Or put another way, this is no different than reports in scores, or I shouldn't say scores, in maybe 5 or 6 different European countries that have pulled way back on so-called gender-affirming care. You know what gender-affirming care would be? Don't mess around with gender. Yeah, kind of get guided by the biology. There was also an excellent piece the other day, not a scientific study like this is, which I urge you to take a look at if you have any doubts about it. But the reality is there's now a group growing in the gay community, objecting that this is a form of eliminating gays, because this is done in Iran, meaning mutilation. This is the way they deal with someone who is homosexual if they don't, if the child is too young yet to clearly have become homosexual or not, right? Because they clearly become homosexual, then kill them. So this is, I mean, I guess this is short of killing them. So if a young boy develops effeminate characteristics, there could be, two main reasons for it. Reason number one is he's going through a phase, like girls go through the tomboy phase. Number two, he could be gay. Those are the candidates for hormone therapy, and possibly chopping them up. But they don't want to be transsexual. They want to be gay. I mean, all the work that was done by the gay community and the lesbian community, right, to try to get people to understand that this is something that comes out of your chemistry and your genes and your hormones. It's not something you are in control of, right, which was thought for a very long time, right? If someone were feeling like they were homosexual or lesbian, there'd be attempts to modify them and change them and stop them and whatever. And the eventual realization was, at some point they get to make the decision, and it may not be, and then eventually it was figured out that you basically can't stop nature. That's the way it goes. That's certain people are inclined that way. That's the way the genes break down. Not that I'm a great expert on it, but I understand it enough to see that. Now think about this. Think about how this is cruel and unusual punishment. This is barbaric. Assume what I'm saying is scientifically correct. I don't know if there are many people that disagree with that, even very religious people. I think they get that, right?
Right.
Suppose you're a young man and you're attracted to men instead of women. And all of a sudden, because now and gays can be really, some gays can be effeminate. Some gays can be as masculine acting as a heterosexual. So it is much more complicated than that. But suppose you're in the category of one that is somewhat effeminate. That's the group that the sharks come around. And please don't ever lose sight of what's causing this. Money and communism. This tremendous uptick in the number of kids that we subject to hormones and mutilation is because you make a fortune doing it. Just counseling a kid is going to get you, a couple $100. This could get you as much as $500,000. No questions asked. In Minnesota, Tampon Tim will pay for it. So you don't. We have learned through the pandemic, and I guess I say this somewhat relieved, that the medical profession looks to be about as crooked as the legal profession, particularly now with the impositions that are made on them, and the making of money is it's not that easy. You get a little scam like this, boy, you're going to start seeing every kid who looks a little effeminate, like, boy, maybe it's time to chop it all up. And that's what they're doing. And that's what this study says. You better damn stop and get control over it. Of course, it'll be criticized because it's in the Trump administration, and except go take a look at Europe, where almost every place, right, including in England, where they just don't allow it.
Right.
They don't allow their kids to be mutilated.
Right.
And
well,
and I see a very nice I see a very nice demonstration here in California. Biology is not bigotry. Stop grooming our children.
It is absurd, Mayor, what we're seeing. And wow, isn't that nice? We're
not nice.
Getting some people are pushing back and getting sick of it.
No, this is good. This is good. This is good to see that we're no longer sheep being led to the slaughter like we were during the pandemic, right? By the big state, apparatchiks, the conscious or unconscious Marxists,
and
hormone therapy. Come on.
Right. Well, Mayor, we are just moments away from having our guest. We've had him on numerous times before for other issues involving Texas, including that terrible flooding from the summer.
Yes.
Now, of course, we're back in Texas, not literally, but we're following Governor Greg Abbott's recent terrorist designation of the groups, of course, the Council on American Islamic Relations, CAIR, and the Muslim Brotherhood.
And we're gonna talk about because we discussed it on the other show, and maybe not everyone was listening to it. What we're going to talk about is what's going on in Texas. Governor Abbott today designated CAIR and the Muslim Brotherhood as terrorist organizations. Now, CAIR is a very, very long-term, been around for a very long time. It purports to be a charitable Islamic organization. It's nothing like that at all. CAIR was uncovered over 10 years ago or more publicly as supporting Islamic extremists, Islamic terrorists, being a front organization, being an organization that uses itself for laundering. And I mean, this goes back to when I was involved in law enforcement. So you're just not going to fool me about CAIR. Although I gotta tell you, it's unbelievable. I went on X and I went to Grok and I asked for what do you say about CAIR? And they gave me all this bullshit about CAIR as a maligned organization and all this. I mean, this thing you got to watch out for. You got to figure out who's putting the information in. So that's AI spitting it out, but somebody put it in.
Yeah,
Elon should know about that.
You're right.
I mean, Grok is supposed to be a correction on Wikipedia, and I thought I was listening to. I thought I was listening to the Grand Mufti,
right?
And his version of it, or maybe the Ayatollah or his version of it. I mean, the reality is that CAIR has been a not very well disguised aider and abetter of Muslim extremism and terrorism to help carry out the Allah Akbars time and again.
Right.
And the people, spokesmen on their behalf, when you listen to them, are rabid supporters of Islamic extremism, like the new mayor of New York who's going to see the president tomorrow. That should be one hell of a meeting, particularly since Caroline announced today that the communist mayor of New York was coming to see the president. Yeah. Did she have a little smile on her face when she said that? It's kind of weird, the communist mayor of New York. I mean, I was the mayor of New York. When I hear mayor of New York, well, the first 4 years when I heard mayor, I thought they would call me. But and Bloomberg was the mayor, which was fine.
Right.
But since him, ooh.
Right.
Adams was Adams had his good parts and his bad parts. But Adams, but he's bookended by two communists. It wasn't as much made of it back then, but de Blasio was, without any doubt, a communist.
Right. I mean, and now we have he's openly calls himself a socialist, but we know what he's doing.
Does he resist being called a communist? Does he say I'm not?
So that's the question.
I mean, the DSA is listed quite clearly in all of our intelligence networks as a communist organization.
Right.
Such that his failure to disclose it constitutes fraud in his application to be a citizen, which is only 8 years old. And if it weren't for fear and shaking, somebody would bring a proceeding to take his citizenship away from him.
Right.
Which means he'd get thrown the hell out of the country. He'd have to go to Yemen or something.
Right.
Where does he come from? Uganda.
Great. Well, without further ado, here is our guest again, Commander Jay Furman. He is running for Congress in the new, what will be the new, I believe, the Texas 35th district. And you remember him? He was covering us,
Yes.
covering the floods live on the ground.
How are you? How are you? Can you hear us?
Good, Mayor.
I
How are
can
you
hear you
doing, sir?
fine.
Good to see you.
So what we're checking in with you on is this
Okay,
action.
good.
Can you hear me? I think we're not quite connected correctly, Ted. Good. So we want to see what the situation is in Texas with regard to CAIR and the Muslim Brotherhood and the governor. I guess the governor declared that they are terrorist organizations, which I completely agree with. But how bad is the situation? How much of an Islamic inroad has been made?
Well, Mayor, you'll know as well as anybody that Texas was the entry point for weaponized mass migration, led to the Islamization of Europe. And so as the entry point for many folks coming into our country, that has filled these mosques. And the groups like Muslim Brotherhood and CAIR et al. Are making hay of it and trying to establish areas where they have sanctioned only Muslim law, Sharia, and trying to push out American Western judicial custom and precedent. The governor is only reinforcing laws on the books. You have to follow Texas laws, and you can't come here with your culture from foreign lands and try to change the place. You have to assimilate in America. We're not Europe. We're not going to go down that path of losing our entire identity and national sovereignty.
Well, good for you, because I mean, when you look at some other places, like look what's happened to Michigan and Dearborn. I mean, Dearborn should be in some kind of an Islamic country, right?
Right.
I mean, they at 6 o'clock in the morning. I think we're showing. Is that right Dearborn, or is that
this
Texas?
is Texas?
That's in Texas,
right?
Is that
yes?
Dallas?
So it is that. Yeah, that looks like Austin.
Yes,
I tell you what, I have a lot of Muslim friends, and this is nothing against the Muslim faith. When I'm in their countries, I respect their customs. When I'm here, I expect, well, I was the Navy's Middle Eastern director for all of our Navy-to-Navy relationships in the Middle East for a year during President Trump's first term, when he ushered in the Abraham Accords, which were extremely important. The strategic alliance between us underwrites so many for us. He just issued them major non-NATO ally status. That is the Saudi Kingdom. Incredibly important partners for peace and stability around the world. But here in our country, they have to assimilate like they expect us to do in their nations. And so what the governor's only saying is mutual respect. And so, we expect you, when you come to Texas, follow our customs, follow our traffic laws, and follow our other customs. And do not use your mosque as a place to be an insurgent or implicitly or explicitly undermine the United States government or the communities, and should be reside again peacefully and as a good neighbor. The Epic Community Center north of Dallas is imagined as a complete Islam sanctioned legal educational system, and Sharia, people should understand, is a total solution for society in Muslim countries. Family, legal, economic,
right.
It's a total system. It cannot exist within the American legal and cultural system the way that it's done in the 50 plus Muslim nations around the world.
Well, I think that's very, very well put. I really do. Now, how? Just let me ask you before we have to. How's the race going, and how can people contribute to you? Oh gosh, I think we lost him.
Bad timing.
Well, you know what we'll do? We'll get the information about how to contribute to him.
Yep.
Which we'll put on. Okay.
That's right.
And we'll take a short break.
Spotty internet. So
we'll take a short break, and we'll be right back. U.S. Army Major Scott Smiley paid a high price serving our nation. Scott was leading his platoon in Iraq when a blast sent shrapnel through his eyes, leaving him blind and temporarily paralyzed. Scott would become the first blind active duty military officer before medically retiring years later. Thanks to friends like you, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation gave Scott and his family a mortgage-free, specially adapted smart home. Show your support for America's heroes now. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory. It's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep grain, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because they like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic, non-GMO. You should know all Arabica beans, no Robusto, all Arabica. They're going to go into the roaster, and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudy's coffee.
And we're back.
Well, welcome back to America's Mayor Live. Well, it's a shame that we lost that. You have the information so that people can contribute.
Yes.
Excellent description. A great candidate, great military record.
Yes.
And about as pointed and concise an explanation as you can get. I mean, the reality is that we have to reassert in a very, very strong way that immigration in this country is a two-step process. And the reason why people can wax eloquent about immigration in the past, it was the best two-step process ever in the history of the world. You come in, that's the immigration, you come in, right? And you assimilate. Assimilation does not mean giving up the parts of your background that are not inconsistent with the new place that you came. But it does mean you give up the parts that are inconsistent with the place from whence from whence you came, so that you become a part of what we call the melting pot, which a lot of these people don't believe in anymore. They actually make fun of it. And America changes a little, and you change even more. And that's why you're here. For example, you learn a new language. You go back to the glorious years of immigration as this country grew into the greatest country and strongest country on earth. They didn't teach 75 languages in school. They taught one language and you learned it. That was the best thing that ever happened to you, because if you know the language of this country, which is why my parents couldn't speak Italian. They were born to Italian immigrants who probably even went too far, as many people did in that generation. No Italian in the home. Absolutely. You're going to speak English. That's the way you get ahead. you speak English. It's also the way you create a nation. Nations are hard to keep together, as we find out. But they certainly are hard to keep together when there's no common ethnic, religious, racial background. But there's something that Abraham Lincoln believed was stronger than that. He believed it was a belief system, a common belief system that we held to very, very strongly, and that we came here for, having to do with the rights that we have: freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, freedom from unwarranted invasions of our homes. There are things that weren't available in many, many countries, or available sporadically. And those common set of beliefs, well known to Americans, your dedication to them made a good American. That was what Abraham Lincoln believed. And it was about as good a definition of what being an American is. But it has to be to bring you together. It can't be that you live in your little Sharia compound. Otherwise, that's completely anti-American. It's going to create enormous hostilities. It can create great danger. And when he was pointing out the mosque, for every day that I was mayor, before September 11th, we had undercover police officers at any number of mosques. That went on for years. It went on for years after September 11th. When it was discovered, Mayor Bloomberg got blamed for it. And I came forward because, first of all, I take responsibility for what I do. And number two, I was proud of it. I put him there.
Right.
Put him there because of the 1993 bombing. Because the 1993 bombing was developed in 2 mosques in New Jersey. That continued to be a place in which terrorists would come forward. And it continued to be a place where we got information that had us stop terrorist attacks before September and after September 11th.
Right.
And it's also true of some of the mosques in New York. So don't give me this mosque stuff. Yep, there are a lot of legitimate mosques. Yep, they use mosques as a place to hide and to plan. And did they do that in a Catholic church, or they do it in a synagogue, or they do it in some Buddhist temple? I'll do the same damn thing.
Right.
There's no such thing as sanctuary under American and English law. It went away a long time ago. You can't go commit crimes in church. You can't go hide in church. Whether it was that way in the Middle Ages or not, under American law developed in England, which was a Christian country, the idea that you could hide as a criminal in church was inconsistent with a safe society and a decent society and a lawful society and a Christian society. Churches shouldn't be used as refuges for dangerous criminals. So you want to be part of America? Sorry, you got to submit to that. You want to be part of America? You can adjudicate anything the hell you want in your little courts. It'd be kind of stupid to do it because it's not going to mean anything.
Right.
If you want to take advantage of the laws with regard to marriage and with regard to inheritance and everything else in America, you better be married under our laws and divorced under our laws. If you want to do it under your laws, it's not going to mean anything.
Yeah.
And you're not being discriminated against. Everybody's been treated that way, and you're not going to be treated special. Not because we want to be nasty to you, because we got to be really, really careful, because we are splitting apart, that we keep this country together. Otherwise, we're not going to have it. We have to have some common agreements on major values. And that is the law of the United States is supreme. And you have to follow it. If you don't want to do that, don't come here. We don't need you. We're not asking you to come here. In fact, it should be kind of like a merit system in coming to the United States.
Right.
We should be taking in the people we need as opposed to the people that want to come here. 'Cause everybody wants to come here. But we have special needs. And
Right.
our immigration system should be geared around that.
Yes.
There's no right, natural or otherwise, that you can live anywhere you want. There's no such thing. That's why they have boundaries. Countries have a right to decide who can come into their country. It's like coming into a home. The world has not been internationalized. And if you keep electing sensible presidents, it won't be. You keep electing ones who are prone to being communists or taking lots of money from communist countries, you will obliterate America, which is what they want to do. That's really the battle that's going on. The communists and the Islamics would like to see a one world, because if there's a one world mechanism, it can be a lot easier to accomplish the will of Muhammad, which is to make us all Muslims.
Right.
It's much harder to do when you have 220 different countries kind of have like everybody be forced to be a communist, everybody be forced to be a Muslim. And the only way that can happen is if the central power goes up to the top. So that's the battle you're fighting, and that's why there's an alliance between many of the Marxists and the communists and the Islamic extremist movement. You say, well, that's kind of strange because the communists don't recognize religion. The communists will make an accommodation with anything or anyone in order to further communism, including Satan. What I just said to you actually is written by Marx several times, including using the example of Satan. I actually wrote about it, and then went through a whole period of time when, where he opposed religion, but he started thinking of how they could use satanic cults to spread communism. And there were times in which this is a matter of a little bit of interpretation, but very solid interpretation. He was going through a satanic delusion. That's what they're following. So Musk was back. Musk was back.
Musk is back. Let's see if we get some video.
I think Dr. Maria noticed it first. She said, "Isn't that Elon Musk?" I said, "Woof. Isn't that great?" So apparently it wasn't by accident. This was all put together, as you have to do when you're fixing things between friends, right? But he was back, and when the president for 2 days, for both days of MBS being there, he's right there over MBS's right shoulder.
Yep.
Standing there, and he was in communication, both according to an administration source. Both Susie and JD have made it clear to Elon that he has an open line of communication, and they are willing and able to be sounding boards and honest brokers in any place that Elon wants to support the administration. He has a place to vocalize that in a private manner and give his views and ideas. And Musk has said that he wants people to know that he wants to be supportive and collaborative because the work of this administration is so important. So it looks like that is patched up, as it should be, because they were good friends, and I number one don't know exactly what went wrong, and if I did, I wouldn't tell you. But I'm glad to see that they've come together. I'm sure all of you that are of some age or whatever have had experiences where you've had hard feelings or something went wrong with your friends, and you put it back together again, and it's really nice when you put it back together again. It really is. And you start to look at what went wrong, and you start to realize, oh, gosh, God, it wasn't really that important. It really wasn't that important. Karl Rove, who I don't I don't rely on too often, I guess. But Karl Rove has an interesting article today about is Trump correcting his ways, which is, Carl, that isn't the way to put it. You wouldn't like it if they had said that about George W. when you were working for him. Isn't it more like people grow? Isn't that what happens? I mean, government is not a science; it's an art, and it requires not on purpose, but it becomes a little bit of a process of trial and error. And if you view these as corrections, okay, but I mean, isn't this the president looking at what he's doing, seeing what works, what doesn't work, and then moving toward what works? Tariffs, for example. Donald Trump's position on tariffs has been remarkably consistent. He always says, "I love tariffs, I love tariffs, I love tariffs." He does, if he needs them. He'd rather have a level playing field, 0-0.
Right.
0-0. But if it's going to be that you're going to put trade restrictions on us and start taking jobs away from us and start narrowing our economy, well, we're going to try to stop you from doing that. We're going to put it on you. And first of all, we're going to balance it economically. And secondly, we're going to use the tools that we have available at our disposal to try to make it a level playing field, a fair trade. I mean, there are some exceptions to this, and you can then work out, a tariff on one and a tariff on something else, but not on, depending on the country. But by and large, let's simplify it for economics 101, right? If as you know, we sell coffee, right? Yeah. Rudy's Coffee. It's fabulous. Fabulous.
Best.
Now the price of it had gone up. It's starting to go down again. So you should buy it. You should definitely have it for Christmas. I really urge you, and see if you agree with, if you don't agree with me, we're not going to do a money back thing because it's too darn complicated to send your money back. And second, I think it shows lack of confidence in your product. When you sell me something, I can get my money back. I haven't, maybe they won't tell me to my face, but I haven't met anybody that doesn't love it.
Yep.
And I know, and I can tell that people really like it because they go out of their way to mention it when there are 10,000 other things you could talk to me about.
Right.
And I know coffee, and I know it's damn good. And I'm going to tell you, if you have it, you're going to want to have it all the time. Or there's something wrong.
Absolutely. We got to get more of the iced coffee, though.
I know. Well, we'll worry about that when the summer comes around.
We are entering winter. Although where we are now, Mayor, I mean.
Yeah. I mean, the summer is always.
Look over your shoulder there.
Yeah, I know. It's
almost like we're cheating a little, right?
It's going to go down to 8. It's going to really get cold again, 85 or something.
That's why we have to be reminded that Thanksgiving is a week away.
So
we usually know it.
If I'm making coffee like Rocky Kanaka.
Yep.
Our good friend Rocky Kanaka. Well, I'm his good friend. He doesn't even know me because I watch him all the time. We got to call him.
Yes, we got to get a hold of him.
Rocky Kanaka, who's engaged in a really beautiful work of saving stray dogs and on a very large scale, and he makes a coffee to help support that effort. And the coffee is made in California. I think the beans are grown in California. So if he sells that coffee to Colombia and they put 100% tariff on his coffee, well, then we should put 100% tariff on their coffee, or there should be none on either, right?
Yes.
And we get our coffee beans. We don't get them from Colombia. We get them from Honduras and Nicaragua, I think, pretty much. And they're very, very special. They come from the top of the mountain. They're Arabica rather than Robusto, which are much better beans. But That's the president's theory.
Yep.
So the tariffs go up and down because they're a negotiating tool. He also uses tariffs as a weapon in foreign policy. Gosh, it's a lot better than shooting, right?
Right.
And that is, you want to continue to send drugs here? Good. We're going to put 100% tariff on everything. So wake up.
Right.
Now, if you don't wake up like Venezuela, well, then we're going to blow your boats out of the water. I cannot understand who the hell's against that. People who want to see more kids die of fentanyl. That's where it comes from. Yeah, it comes through Mexico too, and some's got to be done about Scheinbaum, who's got herself all tied up by the cartels and is afraid, or maybe involved. I don't know. I mean, in Maduro's case, he's part of it. He's a successor. He's Chavez's stupid assistant. And I'm telling you, this is no joke. This is no exaggeration. I happen to know a lot about Maduro. Maduro is dopier than probably anybody you know. Now, how does he run the government? He's got a lot of henchmen around him, and he's a lot of communist henchmen that come from Chavez, who was equally as evil but smarter, and took over Venezuela and corrupted it. So that the wealth that has left Venezuela is astounding, and it's in America. Their brain drain was catastrophic, and their wealth drain. And even the people that say, "Gee, it would be terrible if we invaded there." Well, I don't know. I don't want to invade. I don't. We don't need a war. But I mean, if somehow we did, it wouldn't be the worst mistake we ever made. But there are people who root for the communists. They really do. And they see a communist and they the Hollywood people go, "Oh, isn't that nice? You're a communist. Wow." And those jackasses used to go visit Castro when Castro was executing homosexuals. And when AIDS came along, first he started executing them. Then he put them in sanitariums like people with TB.
Right.
And people like Sean Penn and all these little jackasses, Madonna, and were going down there and saying how wonderful things were in Cuba. Of course, they'd let them ride through about 3 streets, and they'd be treated like kings and queens instead of the jackasses they really are. And they all love Castro. Major enemy of the homosexual community, major stupid about AIDS, the way he dealt with it. I mean, eventually he changed because his Hollywood people wouldn't come visit him anymore. But this is what goes on in these places, and it also is an outpost for China, Venezuela, Colombia, to some extent now Brazil with Lulu, the crooked communist there. So this is Trump is going to cut out this cancer.
Right. So
let's let's support him in doing that. It happens to be good for our country. Now, this Fuentes thing, Ted.
Right.
There's this description of the people who follow him as groypers.
Right.
They venerate Fuentes. And they follow him. And when you watch them on some of the videos that we've seen, they do make a pretty good approximation of Nazi youth.
Yeah.
When they start yelling, and screaming and jumping up and down and threatening people. Why are we having such trouble with this guy? I mean, where is the sympathy in a movement? Can I have to get a C for this because it's going out. We got to put a little C on here. Something's going wrong here. I don't know what it is, but but I wanted to show them. Mm-mm. I've been having trouble with that. That just went on. Something happened. Just went on.
Okay. Is this working?
It's working and it's charging. Okay. So can we put that on now?
Yep.
So I'm going to show you this. I'm just going to show you one thing, because a lot of the press is saying, "Oh, he's a Trump supporter," and look, the Trump supporters have people with Nazi. I mean, when I call the guy a Nazi, please understand, he has time and time again said, and I didn't say this, he did, that he likes Hitler, that he admires Hitler, that Hitler gets a bad rap. He said that he said on the interview with Tucker that he likes, was it Stalin? Did he like Stalin, or was it Lenin?
Stalin.
He likes Stalin, right? And to Tucker's great discredit, he said, "Well, we'll circle back to that." Well, that's like the Biden press secretary that used to circle back to nothing,
Right?
Because from then until the end of the show, we never heard another mention of that. All he did is take that guy, who is a despicable little shit, and put him on his lap like he was Charlie McCarthy. Oh, there are certain things I agree with you. Oh, it's a shame what they did to you. Oh, they canceled you. Oh, just because you said you liked Hitler, that's why they canceled you. Oh my. Or how about can I play this?
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me see if I get it. Let me see.
If you tell me which one, I have them all on my end too.
What I would like to do is I'd like to show them how he is not.
Fuck you. Fuck you. You suck.
He's talking about.
You are fat. You are a joke. You are stupid. You are not funny. You are not as smart as you think you are. You are, and honestly, and if you watch my show, you know I've been very critical. I've never been this far. This just goes to show this entire thing has been a scam. When we look back on the history of populism in America, we are going to look back on the MAGA movement as the biggest scam in American history. And the liberals were right. The MAGA supporters were had. They were.
I don't know why the president had to be so circumspect in the remarks that he made about him the other night. Mr. President, this guy's attacking you. Did you hear that? I'm doing a podcast. I'm going to send it to the president. And we're going to lay out everything about this guy. And you got to get it. And you got to show it to your friends. And he doesn't belong to us. He doesn't support Trump. How about he didn't vote for him? Which you'll find out. And what I played for you is, 10 years of that. So if you got yourself all upset about First Amendment issues or anything like that, I'm not interfering in his First Amendment right. He has every right to say that. I have every right to rip him apart for it. And I have every right to then put out all of the things he said to see if I can show you that this guy doesn't belong to us. He doesn't represent us. He has nothing to do with the values that the MAGA movement has projected and wants to project into the future. It's not a movement of hate. It's not a movement of rejuvenating thousands and thousands year old hatreds and distortions of religion. And gosh, I mean, when you go through him and even Tucker's interview of him, the lack of historical accuracy and the lack of theological correctness is astounding. It's astounding. They just make it up to suit a purpose of dividing and hating. So it's creeping in on the right side. Let's not be like the Democrats and be afraid to say anything about the squad, for 5, 6, 7, 8 years, right? They still don't say anything about it. And then you end up with a communist like this going to the White House tomorrow. So let's nip it in the. I didn't develop the broken windows theory, but I sure popularized it more than anyone ever. Right? Comes from Professors Wilson and Kellen. However, this is like the broken windows theory. Get it in the bud. Let's cut this out. Let's cut this cancer out. This is a cancer. It's been around, I don't know, for 1,500 years. I mean, it's remarkable. And it's easy to exercise exorcism. I never got that far in my desire to be a priest. I never became an exorcist, but that's one of the things that a Catholic priest is ordained to before he becomes a priest.
Right.
Did you know that?
I did not.
One of the orders.
Wow.
Order of exorcist, which means you have the power, with the permission of the bishop, to drive out devils. Wow. That's why it's always good to have a priest come in and bless your house.
Right.
Listen, I don't know everything. I don't. I'm not purporting to say there are devils, but I'm not just gonna toss aside something I don't know anything about.
Right.
And I can't quite figure out, which is the supernatural. I can't figure it out, and it's beyond me. And I'm smart enough to know there are a lot of things that are beyond me. So I don't know if I mentioned this, but when he goes to the White House tomorrow, please remember that communist Comrade Mandani is supporting a Palestinian American activist for office. He's already done an endorsement. He hasn't endorsed Hochul for governor, but he's endorsed Palestinian American activist Abbott, who has been a big, basically was a support. It sounds ridiculous to say this, but let's say she hasn't condemned October 7th or September 11th. And there are comments with regard to both of those that suggest that she agrees with it. She is like Mondani, like Nick Fuentes. She is an avowed Jew hater, and in her case, an America hater. Well, so is Mondani, for that matter.
Right.
And we'll see what happens with his appointment of Commissioner Tisch.
What do you think will happen? Any willing to make any predictions? I mean, she might stay there and try to be a reasonable voice with experience at this point, right? She's been there and been doing a good job by your account.
It could be. I mean, I don't.
How is the real?
I don't know. I don't. Every indication so far is that Mondani is going to carry out his agenda. Everybody that he's hired is very far left or very far into the crooked Democrat Party, like Sheldon Silver's little boy, who's now 73. So he's not a little boy anymore, but he learned at the foot of a massive crook, and the party is massively crooked. So I don't have any hopes for him. There's not a single indication except for her appointment that shows him moderating what are hateful anti-American, anti-Jewish positions.
Right.
He's bringing on people that agree with him that that Jews should be thrown out of Israel, that agree with him to defund Israel, which is to destroy it, that agree with him that the laws that are in place that allow criminals to go free should remain the way they are.
Yeah.
She's dedicated her time as police commissioner to try to get that changed. For the good of a police officer, more cops get killed as a result of its remaining the way it is. I don't know. It's going to be very interesting to see. I
Yeah.
mean, de Blasio did go some degree to letting Bratton run the police department.
Yeah.
But Bratton didn't. I mean, de Blasio did not have an overt anti-police agenda.
Right.
He was just the usual communist who hates the police. But he didn't have that was before defund the police. It was before using social workers in place of police officers. It was before letting people out, forever, no matter how many times they stab somebody. All those things hadn't happened yet. It was before they made it impossible to try any juvenile, no matter what kind of crime they committed as an adult. They hid all the crimes and let them out on the street.
Yep.
That whole agenda hadn't been there, and yet he found a way to really hurt the police. When in office for a short while, there was a racial situation, murder in Baltimore. There were riots in Baltimore. And during the course of the riots, to show empathy to the people of Baltimore and to not make them feel alone, he told the people, he said on television that the New York Police Department is also racist.
Yeah.
About 10 days later, a guy came up, and Detectives Ramos and Liu were guarding a housing I think they were guarding a housing project. They were guarding something. They're sitting in their radio cars guarding something, either a person or a location. And he saw them, and they weren't detectives then, so they were identifiable as they were posthumously promoted to detective. He shot them both in the back of the head and basically assassinated them.
Yeah.
Because he wanted to come to New York and kill a police officer, because the mayor had singled out New York as a racist place. Now, de Blasio has never really been blamed for that like he should, just like all the money his wife took has never been recovered. But he's a Democrat, and that resulted in the police turning their back on him. And basically, since then, our police department has shrunk and shrunk and shrunk and shrunk. And then he didn't object to and allowed a $1 billion defunding the police to take place.
Right.
So you don't have to defund the New York City Police. You already have.
Yeah.
They have to be refunded. So what is that? What's the consequence of that? I had 40 to 41,000 police officers when New York City had the worst terrorist attack in the history of America. They have about 8,000 less.
Yeah.
They've been defunded.
Yeah.
She's been fighting for refunding. Well, she just gave that up. He's not going to do it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know where the line gets crossed. I think it is better on the day-to-day decisions to have a sound, good police commissioner there. And I don't know. And then there comes a point, I guess, where your conscience doesn't allow you to stay there. Suppose he orders her to arrest Bibi Netanyahu.
Right.
Now we talk about an illegal order. That would be that would be so illegal it would be flying off the paper that it's illegal. The guy is under arrest. The guy is under a process in a court that we don't recognize, the International Court of Criminal Justice. Their paperwork, their warrants mean nothing in America. He's here. He's here as an ally of the United States. The New York City Police Department has no power to arrest him. None, zero. Unless they go to court and unless they go to a court and get a warrant for his arrest, but have to be based on something.
Right.
So under international and domestic law, it's completely illegal.
Yeah.
I would think if he asked her to do that, she would resign. I would think almost any police commissioner would resign, even a left-wing police commissioner, unless they are crazy communists like he is.
Yeah.
Or crazy. See, I think worse than being a communist, I think the guy is a very enthusiastic supporter of Islamic extremism.
I agree.
And I mean, you can't miss it. And the people that he basically endorsed the worst possible imam in the New York area as the most important one. This guy is also an apologist for September 11. doesn't condemn October 7th,
Right.
and was a unindicted co-conspirator in the 1993 bombing
Yes.
case.
Right.
I wonder how the president will handle the following if Mondami says to him, "Mr. President, can you help me get security clearance?" Well, I know what the president will say. Well, no, I can't.
Right.
You got to go through the process. There's zero chance he's going to get it.
I don't. Yeah.
I don't think he'd get it under a reasonable Democrat administration. Wouldn't have gotten it under the Obama administration. I don't think de Blasio ever got it. I don't think de Blasio ever had any form of any substantial security clearance. I know that Bratton would be the one that they would inform, and theoretically, Bratton couldn't tell the mayor because the mayor wasn't cleared. De Blasio wouldn't be cleared for Easy Pass. He went to Cuba on his honeymoon. He was involved in supporting the Sandinistas, communist group against America in Nicaragua. Less important, but still, given that, then the fact that his mother was a communist starts to become significant.
Yeah.
And then the statements that he made, the whole compendium of statements to an intelligence officer doing his background says this guy's against America. He's an anti-American. He may be mayor in New York, but that doesn't make him, the mere fact that the crazy people in New York elected him doesn't make him any more secure or less secure.
Right.
This guy makes de Blasio look like a patriot.
Yeah.
With his statements, his comments, the fact that his citizenship is even in doubt. He's only been a citizen 8 years. His mother keeps proclaiming that he really is a Ugandan, and she never really accepts him as an American because I guess America is so bad. His father is I'm not going to say a stronger supporter of Islamic extremism than he is, but just as strong and well known for it.
Mm-hmm.
So the president can talk to him, but not about anything classified.
Yep.
Well, I mean, the president can because the president can declassify, but you know he's not going to do it.
Right.
I wonder how the guy is going. I mean, imagine you go to the White House and the White House press secretary says tomorrow the president's going to meet with the communist mayor.
Mm-hmm. A great line.
You think Caroline would refer to him as comrade?
I wonder if she'll say hi to him. Yeah, in the hallway.
I think if I meet him, I will.
You might. I mean, look, he said a year ago he wouldn't.
I wouldn't touch him. Wouldn't touch him.
Yeah.
Sorry. I don't have to. I'm not the president. I'm just me. I can do what I want. I don't trust him as far as I could throw him. And I wouldn't. I think the president's doing the right thing. The president has to meet with him.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be very, very interesting how it all works out. It'll be very, very interesting to see how the whole thing plays itself out. I think I should point out on this show as well as on the other show that the Ukrainian peace plan that is being talked about in the form that it's in has no chance of working because, and I haven't seen any opposition to this, so I'm going to just go with what comes out of several of the newspapers. This is what was leaked as to the 28-point program that Ukraine would have to reduce its military by 2.5 less. In other words, let's do it this way. It would be like about a 66% reduction in its military.
Right.
With Russia still sitting there right across the border. They would have to give up any international brigades being within Ukraine. So they couldn't substitute and have members of NATO or friendly neighboring countries that hate Russia and fear Russia send their troops in there to help them. They have to promise not to do that. that total ban on international brigades. They have to give up any rockets that can go as far as Moscow or St. Petersburg, which is virtually, St. Petersburg is right next door. And that's virtually every rocket has to be given up. And they have to give up everything Russia didn't capture that it wants. Most important one of which is the defense fortifications in Donbass. So what they basically do is they clear the way for Russia to very easily invade with no army to defend Ukraine, the rest of Ukraine.
Right.
Now, I hope there are things in there that haven't been leaked that explain this, because this is absurd. And it does come at a time when Zelensky is very weak, because he's the arm of the law is kind of reaching out toward him, with his partner now being an international fugitive. And the money that the partner was getting was right in the same apartment building that Zelensky lives in.
Wow.
Now,
Wow,
quite an apartment building, because the partner has golden toilets, which the Ukrainian police leaked.
How stupid.
You got to
can
understand there are a lot. Not enough so that it could lead to a revolution, but enough so that they can make trouble. There are a lot of very honest and frustrated Ukrainian police who have been trying to uncover this Democrat Ukrainian corruption for years. I know a lot of them, work with a lot of them. They gave me a lot of the information that I have. They gave me a lot of the documents that I have, and they couldn't give me a lot of the documents that I wanted. They couldn't get from me a lot of the documents that I wanted. They showed me some that they didn't give me. They gave me some. All of which convinces me, without any doubt, that Zelensky is fully aware of all the crimes that were committed by the upper levels of his government and ours for about an 8 or 10 year period, that the documentation for it is right there, and that he is covering up, to the detriment of his people, really, massive looting, monies that could be recovered for the benefit of his people. So all throughout, I've had very, very mixed feelings about Zelensky. His cause is noble. He's done some good things, but he's a thorough product of this system. I mean, more thorough than you can possibly imagine. So it's kind of a shame that they're going to present him with something like this when he's weak.
Right.
I mean, this could sell out his entire country. And a Putin victory here is very bad news for us, and very good news for China and for the forces of communism, Islamic extremism. I mean, they both China and Russia hate Islamic extremists. In fact, there are a group of Islamics who aren't extremists that are the subject of a Chinese genocide mission. And if Putin could, he'd try to do the same thing in southern Russia.
Right. Absolutely.
But remember, they're communists. They'll do business with them in order to try to take over the world. And then we'll see, when the world gets taken over, who gets killed first. You probably could go to one of those slimy legal betting places and make a bet on that. You know, I never liked
Now you can, yeah, I know that.
You know, I never liked it, but it's going to prove to be as big a catastrophe as legalizing cannabis.
Right.
It is going to be a massive catastrophe. It's going to. Let's hope it doesn't become systemic in some of these sports and totally ruin them. It's already created a great deal of suspicion on the part of this guy. He analyzes every game now to figure out if somebody had a really good analysis of a football game last week.
Well, you spurred me to. Asked.
No, but you're the one who first came up with it, and I told you look for the point spread. Because there was a play that looked very, very strange, and then there was a second play that looked very, very strange. So he said, it looks like the guy's throwing the game. I said, well, let's find out. Look at the point spread. And in fact, we were
lined
right at the edge of the point spread.
Yeah. And that mistake
And that mistake
helped them cover.
That mistake helped anybody
Opposing team
helped anybody cover. Now, who would have thought of that 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago? No. Now you have these cases and you start thinking about it, right? Well, we got to get ready for a big day tomorrow, both end of the week and our podcast, which is going to be put out hopefully tomorrow, probably Saturday is the time to promise it for.
Yeah,
but then it'll be available to you, all weekend and all next week, and we'll put one out next week too, and that'll be on the subscription channel.
Right.
And we'll put a couple other things on there too, as you and I and everybody else go into the next week, which will be Thanksgiving week, when we can pray to God and thank Him for all that He's given us.
Right.
Like that beautiful ocean in back of us.
Right.
That's only there because of the Creator. Well, God bless the people of Israel and the people of Ukraine and the people of Iran, who we remember every night. God bless the president in all of these very, very difficult decisions that he has to reach. They're not easy. They're all complicated, and they all have 2 or 3 sides to them. And it takes a great person like him to be able to deal with that, but it also takes the grace of God no matter who you are. So let's all say it together. God bless America. It's our purpose to bring to bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. There was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason, we're able to talk, we're able to analyze. We are able to apply our God-given common